You know what I mean?
Cold world killer.
You feel me?
Know what it is, man.
It's that time.
Almost time.
You know what I mean?
Cold world killer.
You feel me?
Know what it is, man.
It's that time.
Almost.
Finally, we are back again, and today we'll be building on the debate that's going on online, right? Stemming from the J. Cole Camron lawsuit, right? Camron did a couple tracks for J. Cole in the past, and they allegedly made some type of deal, right? I don't know if it was an oral contract, but it was a contract allegedly, and that contract was for a swap verse. Right now, I'm an NC and I have worked with the best of them. I gotta flex that, right? Matter of fact, Ruben Vincent on my next album, November 14th, next Friday. Make sure you tap into that if you rock with the God, you know what I mean? But yeah, I worked with some of the best. Crooked Eye on my last one, and anyway. So the reality is that sometimes when you do features, right, it's a way the features is done. Sometimes it's done in the transaction in the way of money, right? Capital. Some people spend money on the feature, and that's it, right? Some people spend money, get paid for the feature, and then they also put in the contract for you to promote this song. Or sometimes you can do like, hey yo, I'm paying for the feature and I'm paying for a cameo of you being in the video, right? And then sometimes if a guy really have enough respect for you, usually they don't charge you at all. They do a verse swap, right? And that what that is you do a verse on my song, and when I need you to do a verse, you return the favor, right? So J. Cole had Camron do two verses for him. Camron respected him enough not to charge him, right? Camron respected J. Cole enough not to charge him, and instead he said, "Yo, shoot me two verses back, or maybe even do a cameo on my podcast, and we break even. Real niggas break bread like that, you know what I mean?" And allegedly J. Cole didn't follow through on his word. Right now, this does happen in rap. Rappers are artists can be full of themselves, right? They can be. Narcissism runs rapid in the artist world, right? When you got a lot of fans and everybody telling you the shit and all this, it can go to your head, right? Um, what the words of Kanye? Hard to be humble when you're stunting on the jumbotron. That's real, right? 100,000 fans screaming your name. Yeah, it went to my head a little bit, right? It did go a little bit. The baddest chicks in the world just throwing it at me every night. Yeah, it went to the guy's head a little bit. That's just reality. So, this can happen. So artists are they're weird. They're weird people. We are weird people to work with sometimes, right? Not me though. I'm a real one first. I'm an artist second. Right, people that buy into the artist thing, sometimes they get caught up in the narcissism. They get caught up in, sometimes you got rappers that do a song with you. As you see right now, the game is saying, yo, I'm doing features right now for all the underground artists. Y'all rock with me. This is my advice to you underground cats, right? Again, this is me. I work with a lot of bigger names. If you pay a rapper to do a verse for you, make sure that you also pay him to promote it, or holler at him, say, hey bro, I only do this verse if you gonna promote the song on your platform too, right? Real nigga like me gonna do it for free. I just don't have the bigger platform yet, you know what I mean? But a lot of niggas, they get the big head, they get the money, and then they can't even retweet the song, can't even make one post. It's cowardly. A lot of times when you get into the business, labels will hook artists up, right? And they'll do it. The artist ain't doing it genuinely. I like working with artists if it's genuine. Once I realize that it ain't genuine, I don't even want to rock with the nigga no more, right? But anyway, let's get back to this. Now, this J. Cole Camron debate is technically stemming from this lawsuit. Right now, I have to add my own story on this too. This is something that I learned when dealing with rappers. The year was 2020, right? I'm getting ready. Oh, I just dropped the almighty pen. Either that or I was getting ready to drop the almighty pen, but the almighty pen was in the tuck, or it just came out, right? And the almighty pen was an album that started getting a lot of motion for me on the underground scene, you know what I mean? So the Almighty Pen was fire, and a lot of niggas was like they was rocking with it after that, and the whole aesthetic of it was the Malcolm X cover. You know what I mean? All that. So uh, big, Ransom on it, Raz Fresco on it, all these cats. So not to name the name of a rapper, but a bigger rapper hit me up, reached out to me 2020, said, "Hey yo, I want you on my album, right? I want you to do 2 verses for me for the album. You down with that?" I said, "Oh hell yeah! I'm gonna get to shine on another nigga platform that's way bigger than me. As far as not bigger than me, and as far as a man, but bigger than me in the sense of uh, he has a bigger platform." So I'm like, yeah, I take the opportunity. Of course, I'm gonna kill the shit. I jet down, holler at my engineer, jet down to the studio, knock the 2 verses out for, send them back to him immediately. Professional, you know what I mean? I move like a professional. Even when I was trapping, I moved like a professional. You know what I'm saying? And you learn that everybody ain't professional, but I always try to remain professional when I do business, right? I'm gonna show up to the studio. I'm gonna show up on time. I'm gonna show up, you know what I'm saying? Not blunted, not high as hell, not drunk as hell, can't focus. You know what I'm saying? Time is money, and we take this shit serious. We do this shit serious, you know what I mean? The same way niggas go and code switch in front of the white folks, we serious about our own business like that, right? So, with that being said, uh, with that being said, so what happened was he invited me to do these verses. I sent the 2 verses to him immediately, right? And he said he rocked with them. I said, all right, bet. Uh, Now what we was doing was a swap because I'm a street nigga. I want to get mine. I'm a street nigga at heart, so I want to get mine too. So why I say okay, you rocking with the music? Yeah. Okay. I'll do you a favor, but I want to make sure that I had them on my album too. So I'm like, yo, can I get 2 verses back or just 1 verse? I said 1 verse because I feel like I ain't had to leverage it. You know what I mean? So he was like, all right, bet that's a bet. So I said, all right, we locked in. And then what happened was, I sent mines immediately. A week go by, month go by. By a month now I'm hitting. I hear bro like yo, what's up, bro? Nah, I ain't gonna cat. It was like two weeks later. I'm like, bro, what's up with that verse, bro? Cause niggas have timelines and we got our own schedules to meet. You know what I mean? We trying to put this out too. So, I'm on tour with Wu Tang. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. He hella busy. You know what I'm saying? And after when you come from the hustling game and you come from dealing with street dudes and then you get in rap and you think that that dealing with rappers is the same way as dealing with street dudes. It's not always like that, right? So rappers are funny people sometimes, and they also at times busy. Sometimes artists are busy, and us being street dudes, this is 2020, right? My ego got in a better place now, but back then I took it disrespectful, like bro, damn, bro, that's you did me dirty, you know what I mean? So I automatically get to screaming on bro, talk, not crazy, but just like damn, bro, like, what I'm saying, you ain't even doing your promise, you ain't keep your word, you know what I mean? So me and long story short, me and this artist end up falling out, and I end up not being on his album, and I missed the opportunity because of my ego and because you know what I mean, I was rushing the process, right? Now, one of the older guys came up later on and pieced it all up, so everything is good now. I mean, we piece it up as men, but you know what I mean. I just want to share opportunity, how this music stuff work with artist to artist, and how sometimes you can miss an opportunity because of not being patient. However, in this situation, back to the Camron story, Camron was patient. Camron said he waited a year and some change for J. Cole. He reaching out to J. Cole and he couldn't get J. Cole to lock back in with him. And since he couldn't get back in with him, he reached out to him a couple times. He had to go to the lawsuit route. And this is the way, if you're not gonna deal with it on some street shit, he might not see J. Cole as a street nigga. So, you know what I mean? J. Cole don't see himself as a street nigga, so it ain't like he can just like run down on him and and then niggas is older now. Niggas ain't got time to just be trying to fight and run down on niggas and you know what I mean? Just hey yo, your business was faulty. I lost some respect for you, you know what I mean? As an OG in the game, trying to do the right thing. He lost some respect for Cole, I'm sure. You know what I mean? And he had to go the lawsuit route, and it is what it is. If J. Cole was wrong, make it right. You know, that's how I feel about the situation. It could have been handled the right way without the court system. But when things ain't going the right way, this is America, right? In America, you sue, right? You got money, you sue, right? Because egos can be involved, and for whatever reason, if you try to reach out to Cole and Cole just was, I'm too busy right now. I can't do this right now. Yeah, that was wrong because Camron stopped what he was doing for your projects to sprinkle his addition to your creation, which was the J. Cole album. Now, to the debate of who's the better MC, right? Who's the better MC? One thing people have to learn in the rap community and just in life is, to be objective. A lot of people don't know how to be objective, right? It's okay to say that I like Camron's music and I like Camron. I can relate to Camron more as a guy that relate to street niggas more and street content more than I can a J. Cole, right? Who's rapping more from a person on the outside looking in. He's inside the culture, but he didn't participate in the street activities, right? And then you sometimes niggas see him as preachy or lame or whatever, because I think that plays a role in a lot of people's opinion when it comes down to when they say who's the better rapper and who's the better rapper. Some of this is subjective and based on who you like, who you relate to more. A bunch of college kids probably gonna relate to J. Cole more, right? A bunch of dudes who into street shit and into like Griselda fans and all that gonna relate to Camron more. If you like G Unit more, then you gonna like Camron more than likely. You know what I'm saying? If you're a fan of Big Brother, right, then you gonna like J. Cole more. If you're a fan of Outkast, you might like J. Cole more. So this comes down to subject to taste. It comes down to taste. Some things come down to taste. And the reality is, I'm a huge Camron fan. If you can't get paid when the earth is big, you worthless, kid. Nigga don't deserve to live. Go and get him off. I can't even say it. You know what I mean? But I've been rocking with Cam forever. Killer Kid Camron surviving in the Amazon. So y'all can't tell me nothing about Camron, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Can't tell me nothing about Killer Cam. I rock with Cam heavy. But here's the reality though, right? Camron is a great MC, but it always comes down to this, and this is what a lot of fans can't understand, and just the average cats can't understand, right? Being a street rapper is so limited in the art world because you can only go so far. No matter how lyrically inclined you are, right? It's going to lead back to I sold drugs, I shot niggas, I robbed niggas, I was on this block, I got this car, I got that, and that's as far as they can go. And for some people, that's okay. That's okay for some people, right? But it's, as I told you before, it's the same thing that Quentin Tarantino is killed for. Quentin Tarantino just has great dialogue. Quentin Tarantino has great dialogue, but he's killed for his films being overly violent because this caters to the lower, just the lower tier of film fans, right? If it's real film, it's real, art. We don't need all the explosions and we don't need all the theatrical, blood splatter everywhere. This is seem like over the top stuff that's made for the more rudimentary type of fan, right? So this is why when it comes down to like a Black Thought or these type of rappers, J. Cole's, the Lupe's, the Kendrick Lamar's, they're always mentioned when it comes to lyrically. They're always mentioned above the street rappers. Because as great as Camron is about him and a couple others are about as great as you can be as a street rapper, right? But you can only go so far in that realm of of rapping about street shit, right? DMX probably is the furthest as far as just rapping about street shit that you can get, right? Because he had the introspective elements to it more than any other street rapper. But for the most part, our Beanie Siegel, right? But at the same time, as far as a lot of killer shit is a lot of swag and a lot of the way he was saying the shit. His killer's aura. He's putting words together and pieces together. As you know, he rhyme schemes and everything is about as far as you can go with a street rapper. But the dialogue ain't gonna be there. You know what I mean? For the most part, compared to like a J. Cole who's saying so much in his verses. I'm not saying he's not on. I'm not saying he's giving you Jizza type of layered lyrics or even Lupe Fiasco type of layered lyrics or Black Thought. However, he's giving you much more lyrically in depth conversations through his lyrics than you will ever get from Camron. You know, as far as like the level of it, right? The the um the the penmanship. It's had to step up, and this is the reason that Nas, even in Cam's prime, Nas was like, I mean, Nas, you know, Nas is one of the greatest poets ever, if not the greatest when it comes to the rap game. Literally said that Camron don't be talking about nothing in his music. Camron, and that's always been a knock on Camron. Outside of like the fly niggas, they love Cam. You know what I'm saying? The street niggas, they love Cam. He talk the dope shit and all that. But like a nigga who not into that, who not moved by that shit, now what can Cam sell me? Nothing. So that's why Nas was like, yo, Cam, step your rhyme game. Nori and Cam, yo, step your rhyme. You ain't talking about shit. So this is the element when you compare a Camron to a Jay-Z, a J. Cole. That's a bad comparison because the street rapper usually doesn't measure up. Usually, I say usually, not always. Sometimes you have some exceptions. Does not usually measure up to some of the best, writers who get really in depth with their penmanship and their storytelling, right? More than just the money, hoes, clothes, and cars and sex, right? You know, Cam was sports, sex, and drugs. Sex, drugs, and entertainment. That's his shit. J. Cole shit is chaining day, nigga. You know what I mean? J. Cole giving you layers of shit. So, and then also on top of that, some of this is ageism. Some older cats, you're not gonna move Camron out my fucking. You're not gonna put J. Cole or Kendrick over Camron. You're not gonna put them over AZ. You're not gonna put them over this. None of this shit. And then on top of that, some of it's also, we hate to say it, but it's East Coast bias, it's New York bias, right? If J. Cole literally, I know niggas say he's adopted child of Queens. He been living in Queens for so long, but the reality is that's a Carolina dude, and they know that. But if Cole was literally from the Brooklyn or Queens or whatever, this wouldn't even be a debate. It wouldn't even be a debate. So I'm saying, because you would never debate no New York lyrically MC, lyrical type of MC against Camron, like with heavy subject matter and all that shit. You're not doing that. You know what I'm saying? You're not putting Jizza up against. I'm not saying J. Cole is Jizza, but you're not putting none of them niggas up against Camron. You know what I mean? That's crazy. So, I just wanted to tap in, touch bases on that. You know what I'm saying? But to each his own. You know, it's like you said, it comes down to taste. So in the comment section, you know what I'm saying, go down there, write who you feel like is the better MC. Right? On that note, family, we is out. Peace.